If you live in Cape Coral, the letters LCEC may conjure up memories of frustration and confusion. Hurricane Ian devastated our area, forcing line crew workers to confront damage and flooding like they have never seen before. Like here on Skyline, where nearly every single pole was blown over like a row of dominoes. That damage and flooding is the main reason LCEC leaders say getting the power back on after Ian was so challenging. But they say they're making changes. In a special report, I'm going to introduce you to the man whose job it is to make that happen.
You know, we had the storm surge that came in, which was just absolutely unprecedented.
The unprecedented storm surge. LCEC's incident commander during Hurricane Ian, Alan Roof, says made managing these line workers responsible for getting the power back on quickly his greatest challenge.
It was widespread damage, you know, across the system.
Power went out at 11:45.
Improvement, what Roof's promising this year for LCEC customers like Chuck Greenberg, one of the thousands left sitting in the dark for 10 days after Ian, wondering when the power would come back.
Honestly, when the crews finally got to this neighborhood, we were going to talk to them and ask them what was going on.
Feeling left in the dark.
The only thing that we heard from LCEC was what we were getting through media.
Greenberg says not just because of the power loss.
There should have been somebody to manage the expectations of the general public as to when things were going to come back. The lack of communication, I think, was really the worst thing.
We do a very good job with customer communication.
LCEC CEO Denise Vidal disagreed, saying even through cell phone and internet challenges,
we have not released any crews yet from Cape Coral.
The company also communicated beyond news conferences, like through email, and 2 in-person updates, such as this one on Pine Island. She says it shows strong communication efforts.
We would like to have more of a physical presence in the community.
And that's a model Vidal says the company's added to this year's hurricane plan. The hope? Customers like Greenberg won't have to wait again for
10 days, 7 hours, and 20-some minutes
to get power back on. During Ian, Vidal said 95% of customers, besides those on the coast, would see electricity by October 8th. It's a promise I questioned her about the day before.
How do you expect to make such a big jump when you guys have, it's taken, almost a week to get 62%?
Sure. It's continuing that trek. So as we've had areas restored in more of our southern and eastern territories, all of those resources have swept over to Cape Coral.
24 hours later, LCEC missed the deadline.
What was that barrier? What happened with that 4%? We felt very confident in what we were sharing at that time. And then it's a situation where you get more information once you dig into the actual location.
Vidal says once crews got to problem locations, they discovered issues not seen from driving, walking, or flying.
When you're in that mix right at ground zero and you see what the damage is, it took longer in some instances.
When you start getting into the residential areas, you got rear lots, you got a lot of vegetation that's down on top of stuff. You got broken poles, it's inaccessible.
As the man in charge, Ruth echoed Vidal, saying many things like flooding, traffic, and widespread damage impacted how fast power came back on, including replacing more than 3,000 poles and upwards of 2,000 transformers. 29 days after Ian, power came back on for all LCEC customers that could get service.
I still got it in my heart, so that's why I got out of retirement.
This Georgia worker is one example of the 53 co-ops from 8 states, FP&L, and Duke Energy helping restore power. Ruth says they did not use resources like this before.
We managed about 3,000 resources in total through the course of it. One of the things we did was we realized we got to take a lot more resources, so we revamped the plan.
A revamp, now in LCEC's plan, not only to handle more people.
We very rapidly moved over to the base camp model.
But knowing where to put everyone. With damaged hotels, Ruth says LCEC will plan a camp for the line workers to sleep, shower, and eat.
I mean, you could see it in their eyes. They wanted to get everybody up and running.
Helping customers like Chuck Greenberg get power back.
The line workers and the field people have nothing but my greatest admiration.
What's it like to see this road now and to see Cape Coral what it is today versus then?
Oh, yeah. It's, well, you can see, I mean, there's so much activity, everything's almost back to normal.
A new normal as Southwest Florida approaches nearly 1 year since Ian. It's a site Alan Roof says came with growth.
We want to learn from it and grow with the community as well.
Walking next to Skyline, it obviously looks a lot different now. Alan and Denise are promising better service, better communication, and a better restoration plan from LCEC. And Fox 4 will be there to see how it goes because a lot of you are counting on them.